So Disney, take it to
has brought me greater joy than watching the Walt Disney Company absolutely panic over the last few weeks. They're mad at South Park because they're making fun of their woke ideologies, constantly race swapping or religion swapping everything in their movie.
You don't seemingly like your own character, so she comes off.
I like big boobs.
And if you disagree with the sentiment, I don't need your business. Thanks.
Oh, hamburgers.
There's something wrong with her. She's disturbed, she's unhappy, and she thinks it's about feminism and the patriarchy and about abortion. The reality is she's just not stable, like the majority of people in Hollywood. They're just not stable human beings.
South Park just did what no critic, no tweet, and no box office flop could fully accomplish on its own. It absolutely humiliated Rachel Zegler and dragged Disney's woke Snow White remake into the spotlight for all the wrong reasons. What started as a bold reimagining of a beloved classic has now turned into an online firestorm, a Hollywood panic, and a cartoon-fueled culture war. Let's break down how one South Park episode triggered global backlash, and why Rachel Zegler's name might never recover from it. In their latest episode, South Park delivers a brutal parody of Zegler's version of Snow White. This isn't the classic singing into a well princess. This Snow White is aggressive, dismissive of love, and obsessed with rewriting the story around herself. She barges into productions, cancels anything toxic, and insists on complete control, all under the banner of progress. But here's what made it sting. Almost all of it was based on Zegler's real interviews. Lines like, "The prince is a stalker," and "She doesn't dream of love, she dreams of power," weren't satire. They were pulled from reality. South Park didn't write a parody, they held up a mirror. Within hours of the episode airing, the internet exploded. Fans posted side-by-side comparisons of Zegler's interviews and the cartoon dialogue. It wasn't just inspired by, it was almost identical. Hashtags like not my Snow White and woke white trended for days. Memes flooded Twitter and TikTok. One viral comment said it best, "This isn't comedy anymore, it's just documentation." Even some of Zegler's supporters admitted, South Park didn't have to exaggerate, they just had to quote. The backlash didn't begin with South Park. It began the moment Zegler opened her press tour for Snow White. Instead of celebrating the original, she criticized it. She called it weird, said the prince was creepy, said Snow White didn't need saving, didn't want love, and certainly wasn't dreaming of some fairy tale ending. But it wasn't what she said, it was how she said it. The tone came off as dismissive, almost mocking. It felt like she wasn't updating the story. She was attacking it. Fans weren't mad that Snow White was evolving, they were mad that its lead actress seemed to despise everything it once stood for. Zegler's performance in interviews turned her from a rising star into an activist with a script. She stopped selling a movie, she started selling a message. Disney tried to recover, pushing Gal Gadot into the spotlight, delaying the release, reworking the trailer. But the momentum was gone. And the internet doesn't forget. Here's the real-world fallout. Disney invested over $250 million into the Snow White remake, including reshoots, CGI work, and global marketing. Opening weekend, a disappointing $43 million. Second weekend, a 66% drop. By the end of its global run, it barely crossed $150 million. Not even close to breaking even. Merchandise didn't sell. Reviews were brutal. Fan engagement turned toxic. This wasn't a financial setback. It was a disaster. Zegler showed up to a screening. Empty theater, popcorn bucket, and a bouquet in hand. She filmed a TikTok, hoping for a wholesome promo. But when the theater staff didn't even know what film she was in, the moment flipped. 2 tickets, please. For which movie? Stunned silence. Instead of sympathy, the clip went viral. As a meme. People joked, "The theater's empty, but her ego isn't." Even her fans cringed. After South Park aired, the backlash intensified. Sean Ono Lennon called her a brat. Danica Patrick reposted a takedown with the caption, "Bye-bye." Megyn Kelly said she had the ego of a superstar without the fanbase to back it up. Critics weren't just reviewing her performance, they were reviewing her public persona. And the results weren't pretty. Behind the scenes, things got chaotic. Disney reportedly hired a media handler to manage Zegler's interviews, not to promote the movie, but to limit the damage she was causing. Press tours were scaled back, planned appearances were quietly canceled. Rumors even spread that Disney had re-edited parts of the film to reduce her screen time. Gal Gadot, allegedly not speaking to Zegler anymore due to political tensions. The PR machine didn't just sputter, it collapsed. So why did this hit so hard? Because it wasn't just a joke. It was a commentary and a critique on an industry that seems to have forgotten how to tell stories without preaching. When a cartoon can predict your film's failure more accurately than a focus group, you have a problem. South Park's message was clear. Hollywood isn't just losing money, it's losing the plot. This was never just about Snow White. It became a proxy war for everything fans love and fear about modern media. Zegler became the symbol of a studio trying to reshape tradition through ideology. But in doing so, they lost the story. They lost the fans. They lost the heart. Before we wrap up, let's take a quick look at how the internet is reacting right now. And spoiler, it's not subtle. One user shared a South Park-style image of Snow White, generated by Grok, with the caption, "Everybody just needs to start turning images into South Park. Here's Snow White in South Park." Another went viral with a brutal meme featuring a trash bin labeled "Celebrity Opinions" and wrote, "South Park, you guys are spot on. The woke Disney is fixing what's not broken. The latest fiasco is Snow White with an arrogant loser actress with a stupid mindset." And finally, a short video clip of Zegler in costume with this savage caption, "She's officially the most ridiculed Snow White ever." And this is spot on. That one, over 1.1 million views in 24 hours. These aren't just jokes, they're signals. Signals that something once magical has turned into a magnet for mockery. South Park didn't invent this mess. They just illustrated it better than anyone else. Zegler's downfall isn't about hate. It's about hubris. When you lead a film, but mock its legacy. When your politics eclipse the plot. When the satire version of you feels more honest than the real one. You don't just lose a role. You lose the audience. This is Behind the Lightstick. Subscribe for stories that cut deeper than the headlines. Because sometimes, when the fairy tale breaks, the truth finally gets out.